Hi, hello, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Sam and this is my YouTube channel. I like to make a wide variety of videos, mostly lifestyle, like nursing school, health vlogs, like what I eat in a day, my fitness stuff, all of the above like that. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and subscribe and tell me what kind of content you would like to see. But today is going to be a college topic that I honestly wish I had when I was going through college. I mean, I still am. I have one semester left, but I mean as a freshman, and that is sororities. Greek life in general, fraternities, whatever. I had no idea about any of it, and I joined a sorority blindsided. So I have a whole list here for my sorority video that I wanted to do, kind of like a little Q&A type thing, just everything about a sorority that I can think of that people have asked me, that I've seen people ask during recruitment, all of that fun stuff. Because I really do think it is important to know before you go into it, and to know the truth about things, because there's good sides and there's also the bad that people should at least know before they have to get themselves into it. With that said, this is probably going to be kind of long and I'm going to talk a lot, so I am going to put in the description the time frames of each topic I talk about. That way you can skip to certain times if you only want to listen to the cost of it, or how recruitment goes, or the bad things, stuff like that. So let's get into it. Okay, so starting out, I kind of want to describe me and my initial experience, because it was a shock for many when I got into a sorority. Like, literally everyone was like, you in a sorority, how did that happen? So as a person, I have pretty bad social anxiety when I'm in like very large groups or social settings. Like, I don't like clubs, I don't like big parties, I don't like big universities, I don't have a huge friend group. I have a close knit people that I interact with. I like social settings where I can go out with a couple people at like a dinner or an event or something like that, or just hang out at my house and do something simple, or go adventure, stuff like that. Not typical 20-year-old college kid things. With just that said, you can kind of see how it was already a shock. Basically, in high school, I was what you would describe the opposite of a sorority girl. But with all that, I still joined. I am a part of Phi Sigma Sigma, and I go to U of M, but I go to a smaller campus of it out in Flint, Michigan, which is already important to note, because going to a smaller campus, there are only 30 to 40 of us in a sorority rather than over 100 girls. If I was at a big university, I most likely would not be in a sorority, because I don't like that kind of stuff. So for me, being on a smaller campus, joining a sorority was easier. So how did I get into Phi Sigma Sigma? I never, ever, ever, ever wanted to be a part of a sorority, ever. In high school, I said there was no way I was going to do that. I was going to go in college, do what I needed to do, and get out. When I took my prereqs, I became friends with a few people, and every single one was a part of a sorority. And every time we talked, they would mention, you would fit good with us. You should go through recruitment. You should meet other sisters that we have. So I gave in, because these were my new good friends at college. And I basically it was winter semester, not my very first semester of college, so winter semester is a little less formal for recruitment. So I just went off to eat with a bunch of the sisters, talked about what they did, what their values are, how I felt about sororities, and stuff like that, just to be a little more comfortable with girls and get a better understanding. Honestly, they kind of won me over, talking about the things that they do and their motivations and values and everything that they stand for. And knowing me, I like education and school and good grades and my resume and everything, and I was like, oh, all these volunteer opportunities and leadership opportunities would look great on my resume. So it won me over. I talked to my mom and my boyfriend about it, just because it was something very different for me. And they told me, you know, it's something that you can only do once in your life. It's a different experience that you will never get somewhere else. And I was like, you're right, let's just do it. Very spontaneous. For other people, I know people who have always wanted to be in a sorority their entire lives, or they are part of a family who were in fraternities and sororities and their parents want their kid to do it, or they join because their best friends are in it, kind of like me. Like, there's so many reasons that you could join a sorority. So the recruitment process, that is a very, very big question of many people. Also, everyone is so scared of it, and it's really not as big of a deal as everyone makes it sound. So for me, again, I said I joined my winter semester, which is a little different than fall. It's more informal. It's called informal recruitment, and basically that's when the sorority and the girls pick you. So they became friends with me, they saw potential in me, and they wanted me to join the sorority. So they asked me to come meet with people, and they gave me what's called a bid, which basically I signed my life over to the sorority almost. And that's as much as I did to get into it. There wasn't really anything else until I went to initiation, which they make a huge deal, and it's really not. I can't give details about it because, like, we have to swear to not give details, but basically it's just a really long ceremony that you stand and swear yourself into, and that's literally it. However, in the fall, it's called formal recruitment, and that is like this huge week or 2-week event that happens in like October usually, and then the whole month of September works your way up to it. I was expecting it to be worse, to be honest. Like I said, it's really not a big deal. A lot of people think that you need to do all these crazy actions and prove to your sorority that you want to be in it and this is what your life is. Like, you are going to do anything to be in this sorority, but it's not like that. At least for me, it wasn't, and for our school. I know big campuses, yes, some of them do some crazy shit to get into it, but like, you're not supposed to per nationals. Basically, as members, you plan each day, like the events and the interactions and questions and the theme, and you just kind of talk to these people who are interested and see if they fit your values, if they match well with your personalities, and if maybe that one day they could step up to be leaders in the sorority. And that's basically how you would say, okay, I think this girl would be a good fit for here. We try to encourage them to talk as much as they can and have them ask questions to us rather than people who are already members talk a lot. We want the people who are trying to join tell us about themselves as much as they can. So my biggest advice is to literally just talk about yourself, talk about what you like to do, what you're going to school for, what you do outside of school, your family, anything. And then at the end of the week or the end of the event, however long it is, us as a sorority, the members, basically go through each person who wants to join and figure out if they would be a good fit for us. So that's really all there is to it. Again, my advice is to talk a lot and just try to see if the sorority is a good fit for you by noticing their values, what they stand for, their volunteer activities, because each sorority has certain groups that they volunteer for or that they do events for. Like ours was Education for Women. There's another sorority that is for like premature babies, just random stuff like that. Like, see what one fits you best. See what one that you connect with the girls the best, because you want to connect with your sisters. You're going to be with them a lot. What do I do, or what did I do while being in a sorority? It's all I can say is it's not what you see on TV or movies and what you're thinking of. Nothing of the sorts, really. There's tons of behind the scenes that people don't realize, like of the business side of sororities, that they don't realize how much work we do. Yes, there are parties, there's tailgating, there's these crazy events, there's hanging out with friends and doing all the sisterhood activities, yes. But like I said, there's also a huge business side to it. There's tons of planning for recruitment, planning for volunteer events. There's certain positions that each member can be voted into, such as president or treasurer or secretary or philanthropy, volunteering. Just so many positions that each person has, and so much business that goes on around behind the scenes that keeps our sorority organized and running the way that it does. We have to volunteer a certain amount of hours every semester or a year. We have sisterhood activities or other social events with other Greek life or other clubs to interact with our campus. We can even go to conferences like I was able to, and I was lucky enough actually that I went to Indianapolis for a national Phi Sigma Sigma conference to learn about how to better our sorority and how to organize it better, how to run things better, how to have girls be more interacted and connected to our sorority. There is some crazy and bad things that happen like TV and movies, but that's like maybe 10% of it. I have so much that I've done that I would have never learned or done before if I wasn't a part of a sorority, as well as meeting amazing people. Which brings me to my next thing, is sisterhood. What is it? Basically is that it's just every sister of Phi Sig being together, interacting, connecting, forming these bonds. So yeah, every girl in your sorority will not be your friend, I'll tell you that right now. You can't join a sorority full of 30, 40, 80, 100 girls and not expect drama. It will be there, and you will not be friends with everybody. But you have to remember that you will join this particular sorority for a reason. There is at least one common interest that you are all there for. So we do sisterhood activities, we do events, we go to cool places like bowling or movie nights and bake-offs, and just even going out to eat at restaurants or something, to kind of form these bonds and at least get some sort of interaction with all of your sisters, because like I said, you do have a similarity of some sort with everyone as long as you are in the sorority together. Okay, so I wouldn't tell you all of the good things without telling you the bad. So these are the dark side of sororities that people don't tell you about. Like I said, of course, you join a group of women, you can't expect no drama, especially when other clubs or boys or fraternities are involved. It will be there. I can't say I haven't been in the middle of it for literally no apparent reason at all, besides I was friends with certain people. But that is, again, kind of just part of life, part of school, part of college, part of being 20-something years old. It's gonna happen either way. It's just more likely to happen when you're placed in these big groups with sororities and fraternities and stuff like that. There's lots of people that leave the sorority. There's people who do things you are not supposed to, which I don't necessarily agree with at all times. There are rules and kind of what we consider laws of each sorority. They have their own. Each sorority has its own, but there's almost like a court system involved in sororities, which is pretty intense, honestly. But if you don't get a certain amount of study hours, if you don't get a certain amount of volunteer hours, and you don't like uphold a certain GPA, or you get in a fight with someone, or you do something on campus that doesn't even involve the sorority, but you might get in trouble for it or have something said about you. Basic stupid drama. Even like parties, going to parties. My sorority in general had like what's called an action plan, and we had to send every time we were going to a party or a big event that involved drinking, how old we were, if we're drinking, emergency contact, how we're getting home, who we're gonna be with, where it's going to be, etc. And if you didn't follow that plan, you got in trouble and you got sent to this court system, and they had to figure out an action for you kind of to fix it. Or you get punished and you aren't allowed to vote, or you aren't allowed to go to events, or you aren't allowed to go back to any parties. Which personally I think is nice that they care about you, but also it can be viewed negatively as they're kind of controlling you. Like, they shouldn't be able to tell you what to do, where you are able to go, stuff like that. So I can see both sides of it. I did feel like there was a lot of lying going on while being a part of a sorority. And I mean this in a way that, like, we are supposed to hype up our sorority and Greek life in general and just make it seem like basically we're the best people ever. We aren't allowed at recruitment to talk about parties or boys or basically illegal things, like if you're underage. They tell you, do not answer the questions, do not bring up topics about it. Even not a part of recruitment, like outside life, we aren't supposed to mention those or be heard talking about them. Even though we're typical 20-something-year-old college students who are obviously going to do stuff like this. We aren't allowed to post pictures on Instagram about parties or drinking if you're underage. We can't post that on our stories or our posts, or we can't post us in clothes like if it's seen as sexual, kind of like if you're wearing like a bikini and you're kind of like facing the other way and it's of your butt, or you're wearing like too short of shorts, or they don't like your Halloween outfit, something like that. Like if they view it negatively, they'll ask you to take it down, and you're supposed to take it down or else you'll get punished. To me, they shouldn't be allowed to do that. That is your life. And yeah, you are a part of the sorority, but they're doing that because they want to be viewed as very positive and the best people. And I don't think that's right, because we should be viewed as the people that we are. I basically felt like everything that we want to do for fun, kind of, or in our own personal life that wasn't socially acceptable, we had to do behind closed doors. I really didn't like that. I didn't like watching people get in trouble. I don't do a lot of stuff like that, so it didn't affect me as much, but there are people who do, and that's their lifestyle, and they should be allowed to live their lifestyle without getting in trouble for it just because they're a part of a club. We are college kids. This is just what people do, and they should be allowed to do it. There's also the point of upholding social media. Like I said, you can't post certain things. And I hate to say it, but there are people, not necessarily my sorority, but I have seen it, where they decide people they want to join for recruitment based on physical looks. Whether they're pretty or they're skinny, or they'll make the sorority look good so that more people would want to join because it looks like that we have pretty girls, basically. When that's really not what it's about. You want their personality, if they're going to be a leader, if they're going to do good things on campus, if they're going to have bonds with people. It shouldn't matter what they look like, because I can tell you our Instagram and many other people's Instagram, they choose certain pictures and certain people to post just to make it look good. Another not so good thing, but also a very big question, is the cost of a sorority. The cost is obviously not something I was a fan of. It definitely costs quite a bit to do the events that we hold and would like to do, especially recruitment. With that said, since fall recruitment is the big one, fall semesters usually cost a lot more than winter semesters, because you have the whole recruitment event to plan. You have all the events to plan before recruitment to get people interested in order to come to recruitment. And then you have outfits, you have decor, you have food, you have gifts, just all the above, anything you can think of. It all costs money. And I would say fall semester is about $300 to $400, and I go to a small campus. At big campuses, I know they pay over thousands of dollars, especially when you have a house. Winter ones not as much because you don't have as much going on, but I would still say it's about $100 to $200 for me. So about half the price, because like I said, there's not as many events going on, but you still have to pay for the things that you are going to do. I do want to say I don't think I was paying or buying friends like people say for sororities. I was friends with the people I wanted to be with, whether it was in a sorority or not. And then if I didn't like someone in my sorority, I just wasn't close friends with them. So there is a dark side of sororities that I don't necessarily agree with, and I don't think a lot of people do, and not enough people talk about it. There was a lot of unnecessary shit that went on within the sorority that I saw that didn't need to be there. But again, that's a part of having friends, that's a part of having a big friend group and going to social parties and social events and just being young and being in college. It's kind of inevitable. But with all that said, it's not for everyone, but it is for some others, and I just hope this video kind of gives you a good insight about it all. I know it was very kind of broad, not super detailed, but I did want to give a good look at the overall aspect of a sorority. Was it for me? I honestly don't know. I don't necessarily regret being in a sorority, but I also don't think that I would have been hurt not being in one. I did learn from it. I did get experiences that I wouldn't have gotten anywhere else. And I did meet a lot of people that I wouldn't have met if I didn't join. But I also think that came with a price of being in drama and troubling situations and a lot of judgment. And just, I don't like surrounding myself with negative energy, and I feel that there was quite a bit of that, especially around recruitment. Basically, it's weighing the pros and cons and seeing if it's for you. I do recommend going through recruitment either way, whether you want to be in one or not, and just seeing how it is. If you find a sorority that you fit very well with and you connect with all these girls and you just really like what they do, go for it, join it. If you go through it and you kind of like it and think that this might be a cool, good experience for you while being in college, kind of like me, then do it. Go for it. You can always disassociate or disaffiliate. Do never let a sorority tell you that you can never leave, because you can. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do hope this gave kind of some insight for many in case you're thinking about joining a sorority or going into college and have some questions about it. If you do have any questions, you can always comment, follow me, DM me, anything, but subscribe if you'd like to see more content, and I will see you in my next video.